From conscious community to Christ. Let's go. Yeah, what's going on, part of people in the place to be? I go by the name of the BK Apologist, transmitting all the way live. New York is the city, Brooklyn is the borough. What's good? What's popping? We're here on a Tuesday night, and man, it's a whole new world, right? It's just it's not what we're used to, but it's becoming the new normal. Don't think that's actually a good thing, but it is what it is, and we're all here, and I'm glad that we could be a part of just hanging out for a little bit. So with me, I have my good friend, all the way from, I want to say Detroit. Is it Detroit, sir?
Yep.
We got my man Tremayne. Introduce yourself to the party people, sir.
All right. My name is Tremayne Terrell from Detroit. I am an apologist here in Detroit, former member of conscious community. Started with the NOI, went to the Nubian Islamic Hebrews, to the Nuwabians, then to become an atheist, only to find my way into the faith of Christianity.
And we're gonna get into all of that in a minute. But first, I want to say what's up to the party people in the chat. We got SOC in the building. What up? What up? We got D New. We got A Dog. We got Isaiah Braxton in the building. Who else we got? We got Black Atheist in the building. What's going on? Who else we got? Who else we got? Who else we got? We got Rome, and of course we got my man Chris, who threw a shot at you real early in the chat. You know, let me see if I can find that. Here we go. What's up, homies? My man, the BK Apologist, and the former heretic hood hero himself, Tremayne, aka the Collector. That is hilarious.
Wow,
So, how
that's my
long have
man.
you guys been doing this to each other?
Me and Chris.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's been for what 2012, 8 years now. Because we actually met on Facebook. I didn't know he was from Detroit, and then we all linked up once we all realized we were from Detroit. So
Cool, cool.
yeah.
All right, that's what's up. That's what's up. All right, guys, please make sure. Oh, do you have a YouTube channel, sir?
I do, but I don't use it.
Oh, that's terrible. We need all the soldiers on on the front lines, bro. We need it. We need it. You know what I
I
mean?
need to start using it.
So please, before we start, please share the link so we get everybody in, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that can relate, to the various experiences that Tremayne has had as he traveled through some very interesting spiritual paradigms to get where he's at today. So please, please, please share the link. And if you haven't already, please become a patron. Special links, special memes, a couple of goodies. You know, you never know who I might have special video conference just for my patrons. So please, please support that as well. So with that being said, yeah, let's get into it. Let me get my screen, and let's talk about your
Oh,
introduction, your introduction into the Nation of Islam, sir. Let's get to it.
yeah. My introduction to the nation was through a friend. I was actually in high school at like 11th grade, and a friend of mine was telling me because we had questions, and we had asked this pastor at a local church some questions, and his only answer to us was, just pray, just pray. And at that time, at 16, I'm on more than just pray. Like, dude, I
Right.
pray. I'm looking for answers. Like, tell me something. Like, give me the answers to what I'm asking. And so a friend of mine was like, hey, man, I got this guy. He has answers to the questions that we've been having from our, readings of the Bible and stuff. And he wants us to come to this meeting. So we went to a meeting. It wasn't at the mosque because we have mosque number one here in Detroit for the Nation of Islam. And we met at his house. And so we got to asking him questions about certain things, and he started explaining, stuff in his way from the way he learned it through the nation, and it was all through, well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that the black man is this, and this is the black man's journey, and this is the way the black man should go, and at that time at 16, I'm looking for an identity, so
Mm.
they instantly caught my attention because they were speaking at the time my language of what I wanted to hear. So you know how the Bible says people have itching ears. At that time, my ears were itching, so they were speaking exactly what I wanted to hear at that time. And then
Mm.
he actually gave me the book "Message to the Black Man"
Okay.
by Elijah Muhammad, and so I sat down and read that book, followed by the autobiography of Malcolm X.
Cool.
And so
So
that
take us through the process. So once you became intrigued, and I guess eventually you do show up to the mosque, right? What does that procedure look like?
well, pretty much they take you through a process of vetting you, to see if you're real or not, if this is what you really want to do, and do you have a real, fervor for the plight of the black man, or seeing, the black man, achieve, greatness. And so they take you through that to see if you're even allowed to be, a member of the nation from that
Mm.
point. So they sit down, take you through studies of the Quran, and studies of, messages to the black man, how to eat to live, just so that you understand that you can no longer eat certain things that you were eating before. They want to make sure that, yeah, you got that book too. Yep, Our Savior Has Arrived. Yeah, that. That's a book too that they really want you to get into, because that one actually teaches the honor the teach a lot, as they call him, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as the Savior, and also Far Muhammad as being God in the flesh, and
Right.
so and Elijah Muhammad being his prophet. And so they teach you, those things, and you have to adhere to those things in order to become, a member of the NOI.
Right. And you also, so how to eat to live. So like how did your diet change?
Well, I stopped eating pork, and not only eating pork, shellfish, and also a lot of things that we don't think have pork in them. So you would say, like here in Michigan, we have Hostess. I know in different states they have little things
Twinkies.
different.
Right. Right.
Yeah, right. So you will read the package, and if it has, or ice cream, and it has mono and diglycerides in it, that's a form of fat, and that fat comes from pork, so you can't eat that. So you would
Mm.
watch, you would read labels of everything that you were trying to eat, and make sure that you were staying on a healthy diet and cutting out a lot of meat and things like that, so
Mm.
that you can eat more vegetables, and so you can prolong your life. This is
Right.
what they tell you, but Elijah, he ate like that. He lived a pretty long life, but not, I have a granddad that ate everything, and he's 99 years old and still alive now. So.
Yeah, I guess genetics does play a part in that, right? So,
Right, yeah.
all
So,
right. So you went to the mosque, you started reading these books. These they vet you, and then I guess there comes a time when they say that you're ready, right? So
yeah,
what happens
yeah.
then?
Well, they at that I just read somebody's post that said no pork chops. No pork chops. I'm sorry, I just caught that out the corner of my eye. No pork chops, Tyler. But I still don't eat pork to this day. From 16 years old to now, I'll be 46 in
Wow.
August. I still don't eat pork. So
Okay.
once you get vetted and in, they still want you learning, but also they want you more involved. So you have to get involved with different things, like selling things, like the final call.
Well,
To
prior to
try to
that, like, is there like an initiation ceremony? Do they like give you a monogram Quran? Like, is there some kind of special, like,
if
ta-da, you're
there
now Muslim?
If there was, they didn't give it to me. Like there was the shahadi, like we had to take that. The shahad, like everyone has to take that.
Explain to the people what the shahad is.
The shahad is basically basically your confirm is a confirmation of faith. So you're confirming that Allah is God, Muhammad is his prophet, and you're only committed to them. Yeah.
Right.
So you
Dad,
have to take that.
Chris just outed you. He said he doesn't eat pork, but he eats Twinkies now. Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't eat Twinkies, but I will eat some stuff every now and again, ice cream and stuff like that. Only because
Okay.
I'm diabetic, I still can't
Oh
partake in too
wow.
much.
Okay.
Stuff
Okay.
yet. Yeah.
All right. So let's look at some of the beliefs, right? And see if you remember these things or if these things changed up since you've been there, right? It says we believe in one God whose proper name is Allah. We believe in the Holy Quran and the scriptures of all the prophets of God, right? We believe the truth of the Bible, but we believe that it has been tampered with and must
Yep.
be reinterpreted so that mankind will not be snared by the falsehoods that have been added to it. You remember that? So you
Yes,
taught
I
so
do
you taught
remember
people
that.
so you taught people that when people came to you with the Bible, it's like, yeah, but you can't really trust the Bible, brother,
Yep.
because the white man has. So you did all that.
They tampered with it. They changed this and changed this to say this. They added the fact that slaves have to obey their masters and all that stuff. So yeah,
Wow.
I
Now
did all that.
I found this interesting in number 5. We believe in the resurrection of the dead, not in physical resurrection, but in mental resurrection. We believe that the so-called Negroes are most in need of mental resurrection. Therefore, they will be resurrected first. Furthermore, we believe that we are the people of God's choice, as if it has been written that God would choose the rejected and the despised. We can find no other persons fitting this description in these last days. That sounds like another group that says something very
Yes,
similar. Uh,
yes.
last days, more than the so-called Negroes in America, we believe in the resurrection of the righteous. So they don't believe. So you, when you was here, you did not believe in a physical resurrection.
No. And I would tell people that Jesus did not resurrect, physically. I would teach that Jesus resurrected in spiritual form.
Wow.
No matter what the Bible said at the time, because I was trying to discredit it. If someone showed me that, I would say, well, no, yeah, he just allowed him to stick his hand in his side and made it seem like it was real, but
It
that
was it
wasn't
was
really
smoke and
what
mirrors.
happened.
It was a hologram,
Yeah,
right? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it wasn't really what happened because he was a spirit. He wasn't really, a
So
physical
do the
form.
nation believe in an afterlife in a spiritual realm?
Yeah, but it's kind of weird the way they do. Like some of the stuff that they believe is kind of similar to the other group we're going to get into later. Is like there's like a mothership kind of belief
Right,
where
right. The
yeah,
plane,
that's
the will they call it,
the
right?
yep, that's going
The
to
will.
come and scoop up the righteous, beam us up like Scotty, and take us away.
All right. Let's okay. It says here, we believe in the judgment. We believe this first judgment will take place as God revealed in America. What else? We believe that this is the time in history for the separation of the so-called Negro and the so-called white American. So you was a separatist, Tremaine.
Yes,
So you
yes.
believe that
Now,
black and white people should not be together at all.
not at all. I thought that we should be segregated. We should have our own communities as African Americans to where we didn't allow the white devil to come in. We had to keep him away from us because all he did was cause chaos. And we didn't need that chaos among us because we were the righteous and we were the ones who did things in a righteous manner to where we didn't want them to come in and uh, disrupt that. And if we allowed them to do that, they would disrupt what we created, and we would no longer be the righteous because they would come in and mess everything up.
So did you have white friends prior to your conversion?
No, I mean I live in an all black community, so I
Oh,
really
okay.
hadn't traveled outside of my community, at this time. So I didn't have a lot. I didn't have white friends. Like we had maybe one or two white people that went to our school, but I they weren't like and my core group of friends. So
Right. So did you begin to like grow a disdain and hatred for white people based on your belief system at the time?
almost definitely, yeah,
So there
there
was a
was a
hatred.
huge
There was a hatred for the white
and
man.
hatred for white people. Like the
Wow.
white man is the devil. Like you don't ever want to be around the devil. Like if if I'm being taught as a youngin coming up that the devil is evil and he causes chaos and he does evil things, and then I'm being told and taught in my mind that the white man is the devil. Oh, I hate them at this point. I hate white, blonde hair, blue eyed devil. I don't like their women. I don't like their men. I don't want to be associated with them or around them because all they're going to do is, try to trick me with their words and try to get me to fall, prey to to
So
their
that did that
ideology.
did that did that overlap with like let's say your musical taste? So you couldn't listen to like rock and roll, heavy metal because it was mainly white people,
Which, yeah,
jazz, even though
yeah,
it's black
sometimes,
people, but you know.
yeah, sometimes because like I did listen to certain rock groups back in the day, like Guns N' Roses, Sweet November gives me, like that song. So they, it stopped me from listening to that stuff at some time.
Wow. So
I'm
you
like, why?
stopped listening to them because they were white.
Right? Like, why am I listening to this? Like, they're
Wow.
devils. Look at what they did to my people. Why should I be listening to this music?
Wow. Wow.
Why should they? I wouldn't go like certain movies. I wouldn't watch certain things. I just wouldn't do. Like, I don't want to support that. I don't want to support this. But at the same time, it was kind of hypocritical because then when I would go shopping, I'm still at the store buying, Nikes. I'm still at the store, buying Jabos at the time. You know what
He
I'm saying?
said Jabal. Wow. You definitely dared yourself with that one. You said Jabals.
Right.
Wow.
Yes, and yes, and use and all this stuff. I'm still buying all this stuff because this is the popular stuff at the time. But
Right.
these are white owned companies. But when your mind is not balanced in your thinking, your logic becomes illogic, and you don't even think about the things that you're doing
Right.
that
So
are
you started
hypocritical.
at 16. When did you finally leave? At what age?
18.
Okay. So when did the first cracks appear in your theology that started making you start to doubt whether or not this is what you should be doing? Like, what the first things you remember?
One of the first things was just really actually starting to, study the Quran more was, when I started to read more surahs like Surah 9:5, for instance. And where it's telling me that I'm supposed to kill the infidels and things like that. And I'm thinking like Christians and Jews aren't my friends, but I got family that's Christians and Jews. So if I can't convert them, now I'm supposed to kill them. So now it's like, this ain't right. And then also I'm looking at Fard Muhammad and I'm like, that's a white dude. Like I thought I
It took
thought
it took you a
I
minute to
thought
figure
they
it
was
out.
right because they were saying he was mixed. So my thing is okay, I've seen mixed dudes with good hair or whatever they want to call
Right,
it.
right, right.
But the more and more I kept looking at it, I'm like, nah, man, that's a white dude. And and I'm like, I thought we were supposed to be, away from them. I thought they were the devil. So
But
why
not
is
but
this
not
dude?
only, but he's got in the flesh though, bro. So right?
Yeah, 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 that part. And then it's like, I'm like, so why you telling me? First, you telling me that I'm worshiping the white man as God because I'm a Christian, but now I'm over here and you got me worshiping the white man as God. So I'm like, nah, man. So I started asking questions about that, really for Muhammad. And me and a couple other brothers, we were in Mosque Number One in Detroit, not too far from where I live now. And yeah, man, they put us out.
Because you
They
asked
they
questions?
yeah, we was asking questions
What,
at the
what,
little
what was what
study
was the
we had
final
that
what
day.
was the final straw? What was the question that they just told him, listen, you just gotta get out of here? What was it?
Well, just that about like Fard Muhammad, like y'all telling us he, we're white man is the devil, but we're worshiping the white man here. You told me Christianity is worshiping the white man, but you got us worshiping the white man. Explain this. And they trying to explain away that he wasn't a white man. Dude, we didn't say it back then because this was the 90s, but we came with receipts. We had proof that he was a white man. Like we had arrest records and birth, all this stuff. Like, dude, this dude is a white man. Like, what are y'all talking about? And so they called the fruit of Islam on us, man. Them brothers came and stood around us and was like, y'all gotta go.
Oh, dang. So how many of you were
Yeah.
there? So it wasn't just you. It was a bunch of you that was like just saying, "Hey, what's
No,
going
I
on?"
was me and three other brothers. It was four of us in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then, okay, so they kick you out. Did you try to get back in, or?
Nah, we ain't trying to get back in. We was done with it at that point. At that point, I was done because it's like I found out the truth that you were lying to me about this guy, and you're telling me that Elijah Muhammad is like Jesus Christ. So you basically got me worshiping him too. So it was.
Right.
You're telling me I shouldn't worship a man, but then you turn around and tell me I'm worshiping a man instead of, so you don't want me to worship this man, but you want me to worship these men. And so it was just a lot of hypocrisy in it. And they couldn't, my mind, even as a teenager, was figuring this stuff out like really fast. Like, wait a minute, man, like this ain't right. Something's not right with this. And so I was pretty much done with it at that point. And some of the information I was getting to give to them, I was getting from Malachi York and his organization. Yes, I did read the Quran. I studied the Quran. I've read the entire Quran.
Yeah, and there's definitely some discrepancies, right? Because you know, they're not. There's some discrepancies between what he teaches and what the Quran actually teaches, right? Because in the Quran it says that Allah created triple stage darkness, right? But
Yeah,
Farrakhan teaches that Allah comes from triple stage darkness.
created
So,
himself from triple stage darkness.
right.
Yeah,
So how does that work? You know.
yeah. That
So
that that was another thing because now it's like, wait a minute, your God was created, so that became an issue too.
self-created,
So
created himself. Like,
yeah,
how does that work,
self-created.
right?
Yeah,
So
not self-sustaining, but self-created. So it's like, why did he need to create himself if he was already created? So
right. So okay, so you leave the mosque, and how does that feel? Like you spent what 2 3 years dedicated to this. You brought into the whole paradigm in the theology. I mean, did you sell the final call as well? Did you sell papers?
nah, man, they couldn't get me to do that. they was trying to. They was trying to like, brother, you got to clean yourself up, and I was still in the hip hop phase at that time, so I wasn't dressing in bow ties and nothing like that.
Oh wow.
So I wasn't going out there selling that.
You didn't sell you don't sell any bean pies, bro?
Nah, I didn't sell no bean pies either. I bought a lot of them. I still buy them.
Are they good? They taste good?
Oh, bean pies are delicious, man. You never had one?
Nah, nah.
Oh
'Cause every
man,
time I see
bean
them
pies.
selling them, I'm always thinking that how long has he had that in his hand? Like how it can't be fresh. He's out here all day long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bean pies are delicious, man. They are really good.
Okay, so that's the one
Yeah, I had my wife
that's the
try
one
one a
good
couple years.
takeaway. That's the one good takeaway from being in the nation. Bean pies.
Yeah, bean pies. Yeah, bean pies are delicious. My wife tasted one for the first time about 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, and she's been hooked since.
Yeah, Chris definitely co-signs that bean pie. Yeah, I gotta try one. I gotta definitely try one. All
Yeah.
right, so you're gone from the nation. What happens next?
Um, I met a guy who was actually a friend of my cousin, and he was a member of Dr. York's group. Dr. York's group, the Nubian Islamic Hebrews,
Right.
and we started, teaching stuff. It seemed like a more orthodox form of Islam to me,
Okay.
at the time because we were, learning the Quran more. We were learning more in the Quran, and we were also saying that the answer was us. Yes,
Scrap the
also
box
that
and
we
keep the pie.
got it. Yep. we were we were teaching that we were the chosen seed of Abraham, but through Ishmael, not through
Right, right,
Isaac, through Ishmael. So because that's why we were Nubian Islamic Hebrews. And
right.
so we were the chosen of God because Ishmael was the actual firstborn of Abraham, and we were teaching that, and that we here in America, the African Americans here in America, were of the lost tribes of Israel because we fit the descriptions of the curses that are in Deuteronomy 28:68.
So they taught that. The Nubian Islamic Hebrews taught that.
Yeah, we
Oh
taught that.
wow. Okay.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
we did teach that. Yeah, and so this is what we taught, like, and that we were very big in mysticism too,
Right.
because we weren't Sunni or Shia, as you see here. It was more Sufi
Right. So
Islam,
so let
which
me
is
yeah, so let me quote this real quick. This is from Black Zion, their African American religious encounters with Judaism. It says the Ansura Allah or the Ansura Surallah community, and currently known as the Holy Tabernacle Ministries, began in the 1960s under the name Ansar Pure Sufi, claiming a connection to the mystical teachings of Islam and organizing itself as an African American variant of the traditional Sufi brotherhoods of the larger Muslim world. In 1969, the name Nubian Islamic Hebrews came into use, emphasizing African heritage and ancient Egyptian Nubian origins. The dress and symbols of Africa were also adopted. In 1970, the community established itself with headquarters in Bushwick Avenue, Brooklyn. Yeah, so
I'm sure you
I'm
know where
well.
that is,
Oh
right?
man, listen, I'm very well acquainted with these dudes. Trust. And then, of course,
Yeah,
we gotta talk about the man
I
known
say
now
it
as Dr. Malachi York.
Imam Al Hadid Al Mahdi.
Yeah, so tell us about Asi El Iman Hassan Hadi El Makdi. Tell us about this
If
man.
anyone, like, when you understand, like, Imam is like teacher or pastor in Islam, and Isa would actually be Jesus. Well, this guy, like, basically, he's calling himself Jesus, and no one's really paying attention to that, and we're not even paying attention to that at the time. We're just like Imam Isa, that's all we called him really was Imam Isa. And later on, he became Dr. York. But yeah, we were studying under this guy, and I never met him personally, but we had all the books and information, and we had teachers, and each of us would stand up, certain weeks and teach on the topic, and reading all the books that he had to, enlighten ourselves, so to say, so
Right,
that we know that we were no longer, as the 5 percenters would say, the deaf, dumb, and blind.
right, right.
We were we were
You
the
was
ones
woke. You
who
was woke before the term was even used,
yeah,
right? So
I was woke. I was woke. I was woke.
he was super woke. So it
Woke
says
me
here
woke.
that the founder Dwight York, also known as Isa Muhammad or Asayid Isa El Hadi El Makdi, the Lord Jesus guide and savior,
Oh dang, yeah, it's
claimed
right there.
right, claim both genealogical and spiritual descent from the Sudanese Mahdi, the messianic
Hmm.
leader of the late 19th century Islamic revivalist millennium movement against British and Turkish colonial rule in the Sudan. That's who he claimed. Well, he claimed
Yeah,
many titles, but this was the claim that he used during the Nubian Islamic Hebrew phase, right?
exactly.
Walk us through the process of becoming part of this paradigm.
There wasn't one. I mean,
Okay.
you basically went to the classes, and we knew, I knew some stuff about Islam already. They knew I had taken the Shahad. They were like, okay, well, you're fine. There's nothing else to do. You just come in and start learning our teachings, and we'll go from there and teaching you what we know.
Right.
We're going to start to get you to dress in the garb, which they never did because I wasn't putting that on either. Uh,
Wow.
So that's all it was, and I was going there and
So
learning and getting the
the
book.
religion of Jabals and Nikes were too powerful to let
Yeah,
go, right?
yeah,
That was the true religion for you, you know, that the
yeah.
Jabals and the Nikes.
Guess and Nike. Yeah, you couldn't, you wasn't getting me and all that stuff, man.
Oh man.
I'm too hip hop for that. Look.
Right, right. So here's some books that might be familiar to you that was in circulation during that time. It's Who Was Jesus Sent To? This is from, of course, Mr. Shaid El Iman Isa El Hadi El Makdi. That's a long
Yep.
name.
Yeah, it is. I had that book.
And yeah, this guy claimed to have written like thousands of books, man. It's crazy.
He's written
So
so many. Like I remember Who Was Jesus Sent To. I did have that book.
right. So this is from 1988. What else we got here? We got Who Was Jesus Sent To? Right.
Yeah.
Quranic Arabic lessons for the Nubian Islamic Hebrews, lesson 4, January 1986. So we're going back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't remember that book as much, but I do remember them showing us a lot of books on teaching like Quranic Arabic lessons or teaching us, trying to teach us certain Arabic, sayings,
Right,
like Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, just things
right,
like that
right.
that we would say in prayers, and yeah,
Simplified Arabic Grammar Part 1, the Wadifa, the Signs of Sound Healing. That's kind of
woo, yeah, yeah,
interesting.
that's kind of out there. I don't remember that one.
And then this is the Gospel of John, the Nubian Islamic Hebrews. This is straight from Bushwick Avenue, 319 Bushwick Avenue, Brooklyn, New York.
Yep, had that one,
You had
but
this
when
one?
I got it was the cover was revised when I had it though. The Gospel of John. It had a different
Okay.
cover. That was probably like the original cover.
And he's throwing everything in here. You got the crescent, you got the Star of David, you got the Ankh.
Yep.
Actually, that's not the Ankh. That's the what's that called? The Asanta something. That's the Coptic cross, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it
because it's
is.
round instead of oval, right? So the Nubian Islamic Hebrews trace their lineage in Islamic fashion through Abraham and his son Ishmael and grandson Kedar, rather than the traditional Jewish patriarchal lineage of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, or Israel. Thus, they are linked to Israel genealogically, but view the Ishmaelite branch as the true inheritors of God's promise of salvation. The tribe of Israel are in us and we in them because we are the seed of Abraham. But they went bad, real bad. Paradoxically, the Nubian Islamic Hebrews slash Holy Tabernacle Ministries disavow any kinship with world Jewry, whether Ashkenazic or Sephardic in cultural origin, as racially alien and spiritually disconnected from the Nubian Abrahamic legacy. And that's basically what you just said. So then, of course, they shift into
Right
Nuwabiism.
knowledge.
So, were you a part of this as well?
Yeah, yeah. I was there. Like I was there, and then they started to shift.
So,
And
how did they begin? Like, how did they do that? Like, take me through that the shift. Was it weird, or did they were they really smooth with it? Like, how did that work?
it was kind of smooth because it wasn't even like, boom, we're just teaching this now. It was like, hey, we've been learning this, and here's more of what we're going to be learning for that. This is the right knowledge. This is the Nuwabianism, or I think that changed because I think at one time it was Nuwapian, and
Right,
then
right,
it became Nuwabian, or it was Nuwabian and became Nuwapian. One of those. I can't
right, right,
remember the order of them, but one of them was first. But yeah, but it was right knowledge because that's what we were say we were teaching.
right.
And
Factology. It wasn't theology, but it was factology.
technology, right? Like, instead of understanding, we're overstanding.
Right,
We're
overstanding.
yeah,
Man, I don't know how many rap records was influenced by that
Right.
one word, overstand. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
Man,
so
it was
many.
crazy. It
Yeah.
was so many. So we were teaching, a lot of things. Like we started getting into a lot of like Hinduism and yoga and a lot of different things. Started teaching about chakras and how to get your chakras in order so that you're a more divine being, and how to be more like
Right.
the prophets, and how many how to be more like Jesus. Even though he was just a prophet, he was one of the many, but he was the greatest. And you know um, how yeah, I see that number two.
Yeah. Actually, let's go through this. So
That's funny
you tell me
because
that
I
you actually
remember
believe
that.
this, right? So
Yes.
this is factology, right? So here are some of the claims, right? It was important to destroy the afterbirth, otherwise Satan would use it to create a duplicate child.
Yep.
Okay, humans used to be completely symmetrical, but a meteorite hit the Earth,
I hit
which
there.
tilted the
Look at
axis
that.
and caused the heart to move off center. This is also why people have right and left handedness.
We taught that people were ambidextrous before that happened.
Wow.
Every person on Earth was ambidextrous before that happened.
And then Nikolai Tesla was secretly an alien from Venus. You believe that?
Yep.
Wow. All right. Abortion is an evil plot by the Pale Man to destroy the Nubian race. Furthermore, aborted fetuses are being gathered in sewers by Satan in order to take over the world. You
Yep.
taught
We
this.
thought. Yeah, we thought that we would teach that Satan was taking aborted fetuses and building an army, so
Wow.
that one day he would take over the world with all of those aborted fetuses.
And check this one out, ladies. Men were invented by women through genetic experimentation. How about that? How about that? You guys was the first scientists, huh? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Yes.
Everyone
Dropping the
had
science,
seven.
son.
Science. Everyone has 7 clones living throughout the world. Break that down, please.
Ah, man. So basically, with that, you're saying that there's 7 people in the world that are exactly like you. So if you were to die, like there's still 6 more people in this world that are exactly like you, and your family could run into them one day, or they could, you could replace them in certain situations, or if you met them, you can use them to replace you in certain situations. And it was crazy.
Was
Like
I mean,
everyone had
was
7
it part of the
doppelgangers.
plan to meet the clones at one point, or no?
No, it wasn't part of the plan to meet them. It's just like you should know that you've been cloned. Like when you were born, you've been cloned.
It's like an email address, right? If you try to say Tremaine, it's already a bunch of Tremaine. So you got Tremaine 12, Tremaine
Right.
14, right?
Yeah,
So
but we would have different names.
right,
So
right,
even though they're a clone, they don't have my exact
right,
name.
right, right.
But they
Wow.
look and act and do everything,
And
just
then
like me.
it says here the human race was created on Mars.
That one I don't remember. I remember being we came from, I think it was the galaxy of Ilium. That's where we came from, and we were brought here as a punishment by the gods. Uh, and once we were ready, then we would go back to where we came from. And again, the mothership again comes, picks us up, and takes us to where we're going to go.
Right. Here's some more interesting
A lot of George
factology. The apparition of the angel Gabriel that appeared to the Prophet Muhammad was actually an alien hologram.
hologram.
Aliens recorded this event and later showed it to Adolf Hitler. Okay, huh?
Yes, this is
Why?
some of the stuff that we taught. There was a
Why
lot of
was that
things.
important? Like, why? What's the connection? I don't see. I don't get the connection. Like,
Well, there it's not, the connection was because the angel Gabriel was supposed to, Hitler was supposed to somehow talk to the angel Gabriel, or aliens showed it to him, and so he knew that the Jews were fake, and in Israel, and so that's why he did what he did. But also, we also used to teach that when Jesus comes back, that that was going to be a hologram.
Wow, that's deep.
Like Jesus in the sky was going to be a hologram. It wasn't going to be real. It was actually going to be the Antichrist.
Right. Actually, there's a conspiracy theory called Project Bluebeam that makes the same claim that they're gonna
Yeah.
fake they're gonna fake the return of Jesus through a sophisticated hologram. You know. So also it says here the Illuminati have nurtured a son of the devil who was born on 6/6/1966 to Jacqueline Kennedy and Satan. So Jacqueline Kennedy and Satan had a child. This
Yep.
baby is hooked up to a secret computer called the Beast 3666 in Belgium, and the Pope is in on the conspiracy.
Now, which pope? Because when that was written, when I got into it, Pope John Paul II was in on it.
So I guess it
So
would
it's
be that Pope.
so it would be him, but he's dead now. So it's every other pope come in and
I
they're
guess
on the
they
conspiracy.
passed the secret. It's like you get the
Right.
hat and then you get the secret.
Yeah, and this guy was going to be the Antichrist. This baby was supposed to be the Antichrist, and that's who's going to come and trick the whole world through technology. And
I mean, just all right. Jacqueline Kennedy and Satan himself had
mm-hmm,
a physical child, and that
yep,
child is plugged into a secret computer.
computer, yep.
Okay, and what is supposed to happen between him and the computer? Like, how does that supposed to be something?
Well, the computer is giving him like knowledge and powers, and so he can use the knowledge that he gets to do the things that he needs to do to trick us, and also the power from the computers will give him power to show certain powers, like maybe he can heal someone, or he can, I don't know,
So,
make
being the son of Satan wasn't
happen.
powerful enough. He needed electrical help.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
needed he
exactly.
needed tech support.
Yep, he had to have IT come in and
He needed the gig squad to help him
yep,
out.
exactly.
Blacks are born with a gland that allows them to have telepathic powers, but white doctors have conspired to have these glands removed at birth. Although York claimed that he retained his, well, of course he did, right?
Yep. The pituitary gland, your third eye.
His third eye, okay.
Yeah.
And Freemasonry is a secret invention by the alien named Yoda. Really?
Yep.
He sprinkled a little Steven Spielberg in there, George Lucas.
Right. And I remember I had posted a book by him a little while ago called Secret Societies Unmasked.
Right.
Uh, yeah, in that book, he talks a lot about that stuff. Like he has some good information on secret societies and masonry, but then he goes off into craziness like that. Like that's why when I posted it, I was like, "There's some interesting information in this book if you can filter through the garbage because you
Yeah,
start
good
to
luck
run
on
into,
that. There's
you
there's
know,
a website called I think Nawabiism.com,
uh huh,
and there's a guy by the name of Chuck Morgan, and he created this website where he goes in detail and shows you all the plagiarism that York did, and how and he would show you the actual book with the quote and show you the Malachi York book, same quote word for word, like complete ripoffs. You know?
yeah, a lot of stuff like there were books like that they would have us read. Like they'll say, get the book Illuminati 666.
I
Also
got
get
that
the
book.
book. Yeah, I had that book too. Behold the Pale Horse. I had that book too. You know, get those books. Read those books because those books say exactly what he says in this book. Uh, Secret Societies Unmasked. And you're reading the books, and it's like, dude, he copied from these books. Like, or the other book, The New World Order. I had that one too. But
All
yeah,
right.
it
All
was
right. Now,
man, it was crazy.
how old were you when you became a Nuwabian Islamic Hebrew?
I was 19.
All right. Now, how long did you stay there?
Till I was 21.
Okay, so you didn't stay too long here. So, again,
Yeah.
what was some of the first cracks that you saw in this paradigm that made you said, you know what? This is kind of weird.
Man, when they start talking about them spaceships and the galaxy of Ilion and these aliens, these spaceships coming back to get us, me and two of my homeboys, we was in that class, and my cousin, and we walked out of that class and we all looked at each other and just bust out laughing like, dude,
Wow.
what in the world were they talking about? We were dying laughing like, man, nah. And so we eventually went back a few more times, but it was like,
I
y'all
mean,
ain't making
did you
sense.
do like what you did with the nation? Did you sit down and, with your questions and your receipts to see what's up? Did you do that with these guys too?
No, we didn't do that. You know what? Because I when I was with them, we would go out a lot and like witness in the community. So we would
Mm.
go out teaching this a lot. Like we would go to like events, like in Detroit, we have what is called like the African World Festival every year. And we would go to those events to teach. And there were times where, I was down there and I would interrupt. Like it was one time in particular, there was a couple NOI guys down there teaching, and a friend of mine who had absolutely no religious inclinations at all. He just actually he was more so Jehovah's Witness than anything. He really didn't know what he believed, but he was more so Jehovah's Witness than anything. And we he walks over and he was like, "Ah man, they ain't deep. I want to hear something deep. Listen to my man right here." Tap me on the chest. I'm all puffed up, so I instantly started going in on Farrakhan, Far Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad, started teaching, things about the Nuwabi stuff and what we believe and how we believe differently than them and all this different stuff, man. I used to do that a lot. And also we would go to like a couple of universities here. We would go up to Eastern Michigan University in Ypsilanti and University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, and we would actually go in and sit in on like Christian Bible studies, and we would start. Y'all don't know what you're talking about regarding this Bible here. This is what this says right here. And I've had it to the point where I actually converted a few Christians from like took them from Christianity and brought
Wow.
them into Nuwabianism during that time.
Wow.
And one of the craziest stories is during my time up at Eastern Michigan. It was like a whole religious symposium up there where they had all these different religions, and me and a friend of mine who I met through my cousin through high school, this guy named Akindele. He's on Facebook too. We were standing there talking to a Muslim, and I'm sitting there talking. I'm like, man, Allah is a moon god. That is Muslim. He has on the garb and everything. He has a sword.
Oh, dang.
And yeah, and as soon as I said Allah is a moon god, he pulls the sword out,
Ah.
like out of his sword. He's like, shit. You hear the noise, and I'm like, oh, okay. So we all start backing up, like, whoa, man, like. But yeah, we used to get down like that. Like we really would go and debate Christians,
Wow.
pastors and professors up at these universities, um, with this incorrect information that we thought was correct, but we were going to debate these professors and these Christian students up at these universities as though we knew what we were talking about. And
Wow.
so I would be telling people like, yeah, man, I debated professors on this stuff, which I had, but had the wrong information.
Wow. I mean, how does it feel now looking back how you actually convinced people who follow Christ to leave Christ? I mean, that must kind of hurt you now. I mean, you didn't know what you was
Yeah,
doing, but it must have been, looking back now, you know.
yeah, it eats at me now, man, because there's even a few of them that are still like in that belief system or in the conscious community belief system. Like you'll see friends of mine on Facebook sometimes debate me on certain issues, and
Oh
I'll be
yeah.
like,
Oh
hey,
yeah.
and I'm always like, bro, I used to teach that, bro, and they'll be like, you taught it to me, and I'm like, I know, But now
Wow.
I'm telling you it's wrong, because now
Wow.
they're still stuck, in that, same type of theological mess that I was at the time, but they haven't, grown from it as I did. And I grew from it to go completely out of it, because
Right.
it was just complete madness. And then at that point, I'm just like, I just threw my hands up, like all this stuff is fake. Like
Wow.
ain't none of this stuff out here real,
So from
like
there you went from Nuwabian to being just straight up atheist.
yeah, to be an atheist. Yeah.
All
I
right.
said God's not real. Uh None of these religions are real. Everyone's teaching false information. No one has real answers to anything. No, there's no real, solid proof that anyone can prove to me that God actually exists. And so that's where I was at that point.
All right. Hold on, Tremaine. So I want you to meet a good friend of mine's. So fresh and so clean. You know, he's been badgering us since the bodega, and he says all religions are based on false beliefs. People in the chat, what is his profile pic again? Can someone tell me what his profile pic is? Just I'll take a quick timeout. All right, bro. Hold on. Can anyone
Okay.
tell me what So Fresh and So Clean's avatar is? I know that there's a lag, so I'll give you guys a
Yeah.
minute. Let's see. Let's see. What is right? The Ankh,
Yep.
Comedicism, right? And Ankh. Now he says all religions are based on false beliefs. He says that while having an avatar of a religion in his profile pic,
Of a religious symbol.
of
Yep.
a religious symbol, right? So,
Yeah. Because
oh,
in
but
New
then
Orleans,
then
we were
then he
into a
says,
lot of Semitic food.
I forget. BK forgets I'm an atheist, which is even more of a cut to you, sir.
That makes no sense.
Exactly. You should not have reminded us that because now you look even crazier. All right.
That really makes no sense.
But that's all the time we're gonna give you for today, sir. We'll catch you at the bodega. Anyway, so had to do a quick little, But so now you are an atheist, like Mister So Fresh and So Clean at this point. Now, how long are you an atheist now?
For about 4 years.
Wow. Okay. So you
Yeah.
didn't believe in the afterlife. There was no such thing as spirituality.
Mm-mm.
You know.
I didn't have any unks. I didn't.
Ah,
Only because when I was a part of the Nuwapians, we dabbled in a lot of Comedicism.
of
We
course.
did that.
Yes.
Like we
Absolutely.
talked about, a lot of Egyptology and false Egyptology, but we talked about it. We talked about Horus. Jesus being a ripoff of Horus and things like that. So to me, why would I hold on to any of that? Like if I did have an on, which I didn't, it would be for my, I'm thinking my African roots at the time, but it
Right.
wasn't for any religious spiritual. But I didn't have anything to do with any type of religious garb or religious symbols or anything like that
Right.
because I didn't believe in any of that. So all the gods from Egypt, all the gods from Christianity to Islam, Judaism, everything, all of that was made up. All of it was fake. You couldn't prove to me otherwise.
Right. It's all mythology. I
Yeah.
don't think he understands irony. I think
No.
he misses the concept of how ironic his statements have been. But you
Yeah.
know, but stick around. You might learn something. So fresh, so clean. Stick around. So in your atheism, so how do you become like? How do you get into the gospel from this point? Like, take us through that.
So a friend of mine and we would go to a Borders bookstore here in Dearborn, Michigan, every Friday. We would go there to just sit and read different books on science and
Quick question. I don't mean to stop you. So Dearborn, that's a heavily Muslim neighborhood, right? Is
yeah, the heavy
Dearborn
Muslim
heavy?
state. Yeah, Dearborn is a heavily Muslim community.
So
It's
the NOI
basically
got along with the other Arabs, with the Arab, with the more classical Muslims. Did they get along or
they
no?
don't really involve themselves with each other. Like the more orthodox Islamic groups, they don't involve themselves with the
So there was
nation.
no set
That's not
tripping,
that's not real Islam to them.
right? So there was no set tripping. There wasn't no,
Nah,
the Sunni
nah,
versus the NOI by the bodega. Okay, cool,
nah,
cool.
nah, nah.
All right,
Like,
just wondering because you said
yeah.
Dearborn. I know Dearborn's super Muslim out there. So all right, so continue, sir. I'm sorry.
So I would go there and just read different. I was just reading a bunch of books on science and uh, trying to figure out a lot of different stuff on how the world came about and how humanity came about. So I read, even even in my atheism, I still never believed in evolution because it didn't make any sense. So, but there was this one Christian guy, that the white guy actually, he would be there every week when we were there. And so we started having conversations with him. I would talk with this guy, every day, like, man, like, he would tell me different things, show me different things in the Bible. And I'm like, dude, but you're missing this point here. And I would show him something in the Bible. And he was like, well, you're reading that wrong. The context is this. And I would be like, well, how can the context be this when it says this? Because I didn't understand biblical contextualism at that time. So I'm going against him consistently, like telling him like, this isn't real. Like you're showing me this, but you can't tell me, you can't show me who wrote this. Who wrote this?
Right.
Where's his body? Where's his buried? Like, nah, man, I'm not believing that. And so we would go back and forth for months, maybe years.
Wow.
We would go back and forth, like, and we would just talk and have decent, peaceful conversations. We weren't, yelling at each other or screaming. We would shake hands after. We became, real close. We would talk on the phone. Back then we had cell phones, so we was talking on the phone. I'd go home. He called me like, "Hey, did you take a chance to take the time and get a chance to look at this?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, but did you take the chance? Did you get a time to have time to look at this?" So we would just go back and forth and back and forth, and I'm like, man, you've steadily been trying to prove to me that there's a God, but you haven't proven anything to me yet. Like, to me, there's still no God. And he basically was like, you haven't proven to me that there isn't a God. And I was like, but I have. Like, there's no proof. Like, you can't see him. He's like, that's not proof that he doesn't exist. He was like, you can't see the air that you breathe. He was like, but it's there though, right? And I'm like, yeah, because I have to breathe it in. He was like, so then someone would have to actually prove to you that air didn't exist. So you have to prove to me that God doesn't exist, and him just being invisible to us and our eye doesn't mean that he doesn't exist. And I'm like, I, I got you. So I went. I'm there at the Borders bookstore every Friday anyway, trying to build my knowledge up and read different books because I was too cheap to buy any of them. So I'm bending up books for people to come and buy later because I wasn't buying many. And so I'm reading these books and trying to find this. And one day I just had to give it up to him. I was like, I can't prove that, man.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, I really can't prove that. And he was like, well, then maybe you need to reconsider, your atheism.
Mm.
And I went home, still being an atheist. But probably about a couple months later, I had this white Bible my mother had got from my grandmother, and I was sitting on my bed and I was reading it, and I was just like, if there is a God and you're real, help me to understand, what I'm reading here if I'm understanding it incorrectly. So this is basically kind of my half-cocked prayer, at the time. And put the Bible down. I woke up the next morning, do everything, eat, open the Bible up, start reading it, and it was like click, 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 click. And I started seeing things that the way I was reading the Bible before was just way off.
Mm.
And certain things, and I caught my homeboy up like, bro, like, go to such and such chapter, such and such, and look at this. Like, he had us reading this all wrong because, like, and like the Nuwapians, like, he would call Paul a liar because Paul would say, if through my lie Christ is glorified, then what,
Mm. Right, right, right.
and he would say, well, Paul here says that he lied. And reading that, when I read it that day, it was like, bro, look at this.
Because you had it
Look
in
at this.
context. You put it in context.
Yeah, it was in
Right, right.
context. And it's like, that's not what he's saying here at all. And he like, I still don't believe that stuff. So my boy was still atheist for like another couple years before I finally got him to come around after, this was like 1999. So then after my studies, from 99 to 2000 to 2001, probably 2002 is when I converted him from atheism to Christianity. And I
Wow.
was probably the first person I did that to. And
Wow.
it was just such a great feeling because I started learning so much, like so fast, but it wasn't to the point where it would be like cage stage, like we like to call it cage stage Calvinism
Right,
and
right,
stuff
right.
like that. Like, I wasn't to that point because I wasn't a Calvinist, of course, at that time, but I was just reading the Bible and reading, comparing what I was reading to what a lot of Bible teachers were teaching it meant. And so the three people that I relied on at that time was Dr. Walter Martin. He had passed away by that time, but I was just really learning about him at this time. Hank Hanegraaff and a local pastor here in Detroit named Emery Moss. And so I would read the Bible and say, okay, well, this means this. Okay, let me listen to them to see if this is what they say, because I want to make sure that I'm reading this right. And so they would be like, yeah, so this passage of scripture means blah. Ah, exactly. That's what I thought. And so I would confirm things that like that way. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. So how long have you been a believer now for?
It's been 21 years now.
Wow. So
Yeah, I
was
became a believer in 1999. I would say a full-fledged believer probably around 2000, but I became a believer in 1999.
right. So what are some of the life lessons you've learned from this crazy journey that you went through from being NOI, being Nubian? Like, what are some takeaways that that you still keep with you, like those lessons that you learned?
Probably the biggest thing I could probably say, and this probably sounds crazy to a lot of Christians, but my apologetics, the way I approach apologetics. Because in those groups, they teach you how, even though it's iffy because they do a lot of proof texting to do it,
Right.
but they teach you how to
How to
debate or
argue.
how
Right. How to
how to
argue. Right.
argue.
Right.
Yeah, they teach you that, and so that's the biggest thing that I've kept from that, because it helps me to study better so that I can actually argue from a point of fact and not from a point of assumption or a point of ill ill-advised facts or non-facts or things that I think are facts. So it helps me to study more to get the facts to present them instead of saying, oh, this is what I think this says or think this should say or think this means. I'm more so, hey, look, this is what this means. This is what the Greek word is. This is what it means in this context. This is how the early church would have taken that. The audience at that time would have believed this statement or reference. This is how they would have understood that at the time. So now
Right.
that's how I do it based on that, and defending the faith against people saying that it's false, giving them the archaeological information that I've learned over the years. And because I know how to argue, these are the things that I do. I don't argue in the same way because then I was very aggressive. I'm still aggressive. I can still be
Oh, I
aggressive.
see you. I see you. I see you on Facebook. I see you on
Yeah, yeah,
Facebook.
I can still be aggressive sometimes, especially when you're talking to like Hebrew Israelites sometimes because I don't know if you saw the last debate that I did with Desmond
Nice.
Ingram and Michael Holloway. We had done a debate against some Hebrew Israelites, and they were just kept trying to control the conversation. And I got to a point where I was just fed up with it, and I wouldn't let them speak because I'm like, it's Desmond's turn to speak. You guys keep trying to talk over us. And I'm like, Desmond, say what you're going to say. And the guy kept trying to talk. I'm like, you're not talking anymore until Desmond says what he has to say. It's like sometimes we have to, even though we're Christians and we want to be the bigger people and show, a peaceful side, sometimes we still got to show that dog in us, man.
No,
And
no.
I
I
don't
mean,
want
no.
to,
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. I totally agree. Man, that's an amazing journey, man. So listen, guys, before we wrap this up, if you got any questions for Tremayne, I'm sure who he's here for all the smoke. Uh,
Oh,
Mr. So Fresh So Clean says Tremaine backslid when he left atheism. I don't think he's
how can you
aware.
backslide?
Yeah, I don't think he's aware of the syntax that he uses. Right?
How can
How?
you backslide from atheism? What are you backsliding from? Atheism is a religion, but atheists don't believe that it's a religion.
But
And
he just
so,
outed himself though, right, with this statement.
exactly, he just outed himself to show that he understands that atheism is a religion. So he has a religion, and that religion is atheism. And it's because his religion is based on a God that don't exist that he wants to keep talking about. It would be like me continually trying to debate Santa Claus.
Right.
He does it consistently, and that's what atheists don't understand. I can't backslide when I leave atheism because there's nothing to backslide from.
Unless
Like,
it is a belief system,
exactly.
right?
And if there's no Godhead, there's no belief system, there's no theological system in place,
There's
is
nothing to
what
leave.
atheists believe. There's no moral system in place, which is what atheists believe. What am I backsliding from?
Right.
Makes
Then he
no sense.
says, so a false assumption after I said, I hold no beliefs in any gods. Yet, when you go through the temple of Karnak, when you go through the different belief systems in Kemet, we see the gods carrying the very symbol that is your avatar, sir. But you don't believe in it, yet your symbol is what the gods and the priesthood of Kemet carried in their hands. I find that very interesting. It says here, question: what was the hardest pie? I'm thinking the hardest thing that he had to unlearn when studying the Bible. He likes pie.
Um,
He never gave up the pie. SOC. He never gave up the pie. But
the hardest thing I had to unlearn was probably certain things that those cults taught me about the Bible. Yeah, he said he meant part. So,
yes.
so for instance, Deuteronomy 28:68. Like I still held to that as that taught that African Americans were the original Hebrews because the Bible taught that, and we were the ones that came over here on slave ships. Also, what is it? Exodus, not Exodus, Revelation. When they talk about Jesus having bronze feet,
Woolly
white
hair.
hair,
Right. Right.
woolly hair, and that showing that Jesus was black. So those are the hardest things that I had to unlearn because even as a Christian, I would still teach those things, early on. And so once I finally got a better understanding of those things, I would say probably around 2005, 2004, 2005, I was able to let those things go. Like, nah, that's, in context, that's not what that means.
Wow. Anything else that you had to
Uh,
unlearn?
Probably my aggression. I had to learn. Like I can still, like I said, I can still be aggressive, but in those type of cults, like they want you to be really aggressive. They want you to assert yourself on people. Like you always hear people say, "Well, Christians, we force our religion on people." Well, when I was I did more forcing my belief system on people in those cults than I did as a Christian now. As a Christian now, I explain my beliefs and I teach people why I believe what I believe, but I don't force it. I don't become, indignant that they must listen to me, that I am telling the truth and this and that. It's more so of I have this good word and I want you to understand why you must believe in Christ in order for you to, obtain salvation.
Right.
Whereas then it was, I'm right, you're wrong, you need to hear what I'm saying.
So you all are actually disingenuous. All right. So by saying disingenuous, you're saying that we're not being sincere. Let's say you're correct. How can you prove that everyone in this chat and me and Tremaine are not being sincere? Because you said all. So that means everyone here, everybody in this
Actual
chat
statement.
is not sincere. Tremaine is not sincere. BK Apologist is not sincere. Please show us how everyone here on this live stream is not being sincere. We await your response, sir. So
we'll,
yeah, he just
we'll,
showed up out of nowhere last Friday.
we'll be waiting.
Yeah, right. He just showed up out of nowhere, bro. Like,
All
okay, that's
right.
fun. It's fun, you know. But listen, man. So as we await, does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Tremaine?
Yeah, I have fun, talking to atheists, especially being a former one, because a lot of them really don't understand that they have a belief system, and a lot of them, you know, they try to use science to show that somehow science has eliminated the belief in God, that God, no longer exists, or eliminated the existence of God, and it's never it's never been proven, and they try to prove it. Deflecting to Egypt when I stated I'm an atheist. Well, we didn't deflect to Egypt. The problem is you claim to be an atheist, but then you have a symbol of a religious symbol as your profile picture, which has a lot of different hieroglyphic writings on it to probably particular gods and things like that. So if you being an atheist, you should never have something like that up as your profile picture. Like that would be like an atheist having a cross up. Like it's the same difference. Like I don't understand.
Yeah, he doesn't understand. Like he doesn't get that that's the case. So, but he says Tremaine, lack of belief is not a system.
He doesn't have a lack of belief, because if he had a lack of belief, then he wouldn't say that he doesn't have a belief in any gods. That's not a lack of belief. That is a belief that you have, that you don't believe any gods exist.
And that
Believe
itself is a
and
belief.
believe. That's a belief system.
No, the symbol's not bothering us, but it's really messing up your argumentation. It really is. It's hurting you.
It's hurting you.
It's
Yeah,
hurting you.
it's making you look hypocritical.
I can have anything I wish. Again, no one's saying that you can't. No one's saying
Yes,
that. But
that's what servant of Christ is said. Christ's
you
ministry. It's
place value in symbols. I do not. Says the man that has a symbol for his avatar. It's oh my gosh. It's like you cutting yourself a
Oh,
lot, my guy. Like, come on.
yes,
So, Chris, that he doesn't want to have the burden to prove. Well, yeah, I agree with that. And,
that's
and,
what it
and here's
is.
and here it is. Here it is, Shawnee. You this is it. This is the issue. Your profile picture and your atheism are contradictory. That's it.
Yep.
That's it. And you seem not to understand that, sir. So every time you make a statement, the profile pic mocks your statement every time.
Yeah,
So
because Yeah,
Go
the
ahead, bro.
Egyptians didn't use the Ankh as just a symbol of heritage.
Right.
Like that's not what the Egyptians used the Ankh for, and he can't say that that's all he's using it for if he's an atheist. Like I could use the Ankh more so than him. He can to say that I used it as a symbol of heritage because I can go back and show how Hezekiah they found a signet ring of Hezekiah with the Ankh as one of the symbols. You know, as a key to the afterlife. You know, it had the Ankh and then Yahweh. It's like I can use the Ankh as a Christian, you know, for that reason, you know,
Christians
but him
have. Right in the
is
past. Right.
can't do so because they use that as a symbol, as a key to, you know, the afterlife, as peace in the afterlife and things like that. Is like, how can he just say, "Oh, it's okay for me to use this"? No, it is not.
Right. It's crazy. So that was fun. So Tremaine,
Yeah.
man, where can people reach you at?
Well, I'm on Facebook. That's the biggest place where people can reach me at. I have a Twitter. I don't use it that often.
Right.
I probably need to use my YouTube account more often. I do have a couple videos on there. If anyone wants to look at those, it's Man Infinite.
Yeah, no one's gonna remember
Yeah.
that, bro. Do you have the links? You can put it in the chat. No.
Ah, I don't have them right offhand. I can
Okay.
send them
Okay.
to you.
That's fine.
but, but yeah, yeah, and yeah, Facebook. You know, I'm all over there debating and posting things all the time.
Tremaine, you're super tickious.
That's
I think
supposed
he
to be
means superstitious.
superstitious. Yeah, no, I'm not superstitious.
Super
I'm not superstitious
tickious.
at all.
You're
He
super
said I'm
tickious.
superstitious. I'm not superstitious at all. Never. I cross poles. I do everything. I'm not superstitious.
Ah, but yet, again, you say that, and then your profile pic says otherwise, sir.
Right.
It's just so weird. And
It
is that
makes
how you
no
spell
sense.
superstitious? I don't think that's how. Anyway, so this has been real, man. I definitely appreciate you coming through and sharing your story. You was involved in some crazy paradigms, my friend.
Man, look, I think back to a lot of that stuff, and I'm like, why did I believe that? Like, but in all honesty, like I tell people when I talk to people about these urban cults, a lot of it is you need a hug. A lot of it is, you know, young black men are searching for a place to belong. They're searching for an identity, you know, and so that's how they get caught up. They go into a lot of churches, and the churches aren't giving them that information that allows them to have that identity there. And while people say that the white Jesus, or knowing that Jesus was more than likely a person of color, isn't important, it's important to the fact that these young men will walk in the front of the church door and walk right out the back because we won't give them the proper, you know, information that they're asking for. Like, it doesn't hurt that if someone asks me, was Jesus black? And I say, yeah. What does that hurt? to,
Right, right.
to answer something truthfully, you know, and then to take them from there to teach them the Bible, to teach them the gospel and what everything is.
Man, D News official. She found your channel, bro.
Oh, you did?
Listen, don't mess with D News. She will hunt you down and find you. Her searching skills is immaculate, bro.
I
So
see.
yeah, yeah.
I see. Yeah, me and Chris Samuel had done a apologetics conference about 4 years ago.
He said it's like a fresh and clean festival. That is true though.
Yeah. But we had done a conference, a little conference about 3 to 4 years ago, and I spoke at that about a lot of the urban cults and things like that, and you know, and why a lot of people gravitate towards those cults, and it's because, you know, they're looking for an identity, and we need not the identity of, you know, so much being black in Christ, but have help them find their identity in Christ,
Right.
and so they won't go to these, you know, cults searching for that identity because they're only looking for an identity, of their skin color, and we need to show them something beyond that. Oh, she done found what I was just talking about
I
too.
told you she don't play, son.
I see you. She out here.
That's cool, man. So any last thoughts before we wrap this up, sir?
I just pray that this was edifying to people, and I hope that people can go look into these organizations that I was a part of if they didn't know about them or didn't know much about them, to find out why we as Christians defend our faith against these cults, and why we call them cults, and why we need to do our job into steering our young and older people away from these cults by teaching them the correct way in Christ, and teaching them the Bible the correct way, not the American way, uh, not the white Jesus way, not the European way, but teaching them Christianity in its full essence.
Right. Absolutely. Good stuff, man. So, man, this has been Tremaine. This has been the BK Apologist. And we're going to catch you on the flip side. Actually, this Thursday, me and Adam Coleman, we're getting together and we're going to talk about the argument for black on black crime. All right, so definitely tune in for that. So, with that being said, peace.